Hi folks, sorry this is coming kind of late. This is actually last week's vlog. The Clearsource project took a little bit longer. I got a little more involved than I originally thought it was going to be, so ended up taking some time to get all the footage in. Also had the big Grand Canyon trip coming up to plan for, get ready for, and kind of get that going, so it kind of ended up delaying things a little bit. But anyway, this is the Clearsource project, installing an internal Clearsource 3-stage filter for the Airstream. So enjoy, and I'm pretty happy with it. So this is just a quick install. The blog post is going to have a whole lot more details as far as like the cost, the materials involved, other stuff like that. So just kind of details about the project. So check out the link for the blog post below. It's in the details, and hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Alright, so today's project is going to be installing a Clearsource water filter in this cabinet because the plumbing's right behind here. So I'm going to start taking everything out of here, at least out of the bottom part. I debated whether to do a internal or external one of these for a while, but finally kind of the deciding factor for me is this is all about making things simpler and creating less steps in setup and breakdown. So while I lose a little bit of space on the inside here, it's one less step on the outside and something I don't have to think about. Unfortunately, this is a 3-stage filter and it's too wide to go along the back, which is what I would have preferred. And I thought about going with a 2-stage, but I'm my philosophy on kind of buying more expensive stuff is that you don't want to have regrets when you're spending that much money, so you might as well get what you actually want in the beginning. So I'm also going to take this door off. Okay. Alright, so you can kind of see there, to get to the plumbing we have to unhook this back panel here, and then we'll get started. This is kind of a tight fit here. So you can see the plumbing there. This top one with the the bottom input with the little bell there, it's actually the black tank flush. The top one here is the water inlet. So I'm essentially going to just tap into that PEX piece right there and create a filter shunt. Alright, this is the Clearsource 3-stage RV filter. I'm not sure if I have everything I need to have for the plumbing part, but if not, I'll just go over to Home Depot and pick up whatever I need. Filter wrench. Oh gosh. Let's do this like that. All right. Particularly, I'm not sure about the PEX size in the rig. I'm thinking it's a 1/2 inch. but I could be wrong about that. Let me just double check, make sure there's nothing else down here. So as I said before, I get drinking water in town now from a place called the Water Store. And but the dog's still drinking this water, and I want him to have better water. And the water leaves a bunch of like water residue in the shower and on the sinks and all that. So I'm hoping to kind of reduce some of that. All right. So that's what we've got right there. So the outside version is like a powder coated black, and it would be kind of a more enclosed, but this is going to mount with screws here. Pretty heavy. So we've got PEX fittings here and here. My thought is to not use PEX necessarily, but this kind of under the sink kind of material. So that's going to be too loose, unfortunately. Okay, we finally got that panel off, which was a bit of a headache. Got a bag put down here, and now is the moment of truth. Water's shut off. I drained a little bit out of the sink. Got to make a cut into that pipe to start the shunt. And then I've got two shark bite adapters, elbow adapters, that'll hopefully fit onto that pretty well, and then plug into our hose. Alright, little change in plans. I wasn't able to use the flexible tubing I had before. So we just got more PEX. And now I gotta create down drops off these. So I think... I think probably just take all these filters off. Okay. Alright, so we've got our pieces on there. I've marked where I'm going to mount it in the cabinet here. So now it's just to actually make the cut right there and then put on the pieces that are going to go from the little these ends down to the actual pipe there. Alright, if you can see there, I just made the cuts, and we're going to install two shark bite adapters on there. Alright, so we've got our shark bite adapters right there, and I think the next step is to remount this back panel and use a hole saw to do a pass-through hole right here. So I think in order to do that, I need to mount the Clearsource next. I'm just going to make it a little cumbersome in there. Alright, this has been an insanely tedious job in a very small space. But we're ready to test things out. I found out it's too tight of a space to get the PEX spring crimp tool in there, so I had to use pipe clamps on some of them, which I'm really not sure about. So this could be an absolute disaster, but it's time to turn the water on and see what happens. Okay, water is on. This connection especially was a little hairy. Okay, it may be working. I'm going to take the catchment bag out of there. Alright, this has ended up being a little more of a super tedious and frustrating project than I thought, but I just made the final connections. The shark bite connectors I used to splice the main line leaked, so I had to redo that. Tried pipe clamps around the elbow fittings for the PEX, which did not work, so ended up having to rip out the whole assembly again and redo it. But I've just finished the final connections. Right now I'm in between 2 days of work, so I gotta go in tonight. So hopefully this works. I'm gonna turn back on the water, attaching the filters first, and see how this goes. Alright, you can see down there, still got a dripping fitting. So I'm going to have to cut that out and replace that. Not quite done. So I replaced the elbow fitting here again. Not seeing a drip so far. Gonna go out and walk the dog and let this kind of sit for a little bit. And then come back and reevaluate and make sure we're still okay. But I think we might be good. If there's no leak. The kind of secret to this whole thing was not trying to route it through that panel in the back. So I'm going to do a kind of cutout in the panel where I can just slide the panel back in rather than try to route all this stuff through a hole. But it let me get in there to crimp the PEX cinch rings. So, yeah. Gonna let it sit for a bit. Hopefully start putting things back together. I might need to let it sit overnight and see how things look in the morning, but we'll see. So that was the install. I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, it took a whole lot longer and got way more complicated than I thought it was going to be. I kind of knew ahead of time doing it internal was going to be problematic, but it worked out in the end. I've checked it twice since towing, both to and from the Grand Canyon. We've been there and back, and no leaks so far. So I think my job is secure and it's locked down. I'm pretty happy with the water quality and the extra flow. So this project is done and pretty happy with it. Thanks again for watching, and check out more content below. Thanks.